We are live.
Hi all, very good morning. And this is the second day of Virtual International Development Program, which is organized by Maharashtra Education Society's Institute of Management and Career Courses. I'm Professor Dr. Minalo. Welcome you all to this second day meet. Today we have theme library service quality. Basically, the theme of our program is library services in the virtual world. And it's my pleasure to share you that we got total 401 registrations across 12 countries on the globe, including UK, USA, UAE, and others. The basic purpose of this theme is to brainstorm the various ways which are available for us as a library professional, what we can do to improve the quality of library services, and how can we raise the effectivity of the provided services, especially in the virtual world. Because in the pandemic and after pandemic, what we are witnessing is a sea change in the nature of the library services, and of course, which are expected by our users through entirely on the remote access. So what we can do as a professional in this regard, how can we assess ourselves? How can we measure? How can we justify rather to provide more effective services? Today for this session, as I told you, this MES IMCC is the organizer of this program. IMCC is a premier management institute running MBA and MCA programs approved by AICTE, which are recognized by Savitribai Phule Pune University as well, under the umbrella of Maharashtra Education Society. Maharashtra Education Society is an age-old society established way back in 1876 by Adya Krantikarak Vasudev Balwant Phadke, Indapurkar and Bhave to inculcate the grassroots education. To extend the same thread ahead, now at present, society is providing this quality education through more than 70 educational institutes across Maharashtra state, right from KG to PG and research. At IMCC, apart from MBA, MCA, also it has its own research center, which is recognized by Pune University under the domain of management science. We also believe on the distance learning program and education for all policy. So we run our own IGNOU study center of MES on the campus, pertaining to more than 2,000 learners, getting their degrees for the management, tourism, as well as the LIS thread, BLIS, MLIS, PGDLAN, MBA, BCA, and tourism degrees. Now back to our program. As today's theme is library service quality, we have the chairperson, Professor Dr. S.K. Patil. It is my pleasure to welcome Professor Dr. S.K. Patil as the chairman of this program, of this session. Sir is a thorough administrator and retired professor and university librarian, Jaikar Library, University of Pune. He worked on so many committees during his entire career. As far as his career milestones are concerned, he successfully implemented RFID technology at Jaikar Library, established digital library at Jaikar Library, as well as the internet laboratory. Considering his vision, he also worked with Symbiosis International University for 4 years, where he successfully implemented Koha project unanimously. So welcome you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
So with these words, I would like to introduce today's resource person, Dr. Shantanu Ganguly. There is no need actually for me to introduce Shantanu. Shantanu is the Chief Librarian at All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Delhi. A very senior professional, more than a decade of experience in executing new and unique techniques. He worked earlier at TERI, knowledge networking, KM value analysis, change management. These are his areas of interest and also where he worked a lot in shaping the strategic directions of TERI's knowledge management practice. He is recognized as an active speaker at various forums and conferences. He worked on the several leading projects at TERI, and he was the integral part of the variety of projects conducted at TERI. Apart from that, he was a recipient of Roll of Honor for outstanding contribution in the organization. Knowledge management, service quality, these areas are close to his heart. With this introduction, I request Dr. S.K. Patil sir to please conduct the further session, and I welcome heartily Dr. Shantanu. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Meenal, for giving me this opportunity to chair this session. Today's resource person, I welcome Dr. Shantanu Ganguly, and his topic is library service quality, which is very important area for all our library professionals. Dr. Ganguly, you have to speak from just now up to 11:20. Last 10 minutes you have to be kept reserved for question and answers. So not taking much time about this, I request Dr. Ganguly to start his speech and share his experiences regarding the library service quality. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, Professor Patil. Thank you, Professor Meenal, for inviting me to share my thoughts in this particular area. Basically, no doubt this particular subject is very, very close to my heart, as Meenal said. The reason being, I think we are in a service domain. All of us are in a service domain, and we need to understand this concept. Otherwise, it's of no use because it has its own, dimension and all. Now, in my talk, what I'm going to do is basically it is going to be divided into two parts. I will take you through the entire service quality journey, since it is the main area is on service quality in the information sector. So I'll be taking that. But I would also like to give you a complete show, as Professor Meenal mentioned, that there is a pre-COVID and the post-COVID and the kind of the radical change which has taken place. And to me, I think service doesn't mean that only what we are providing a service, but perhaps service has got another dimension, because I do a lot of research in this area, and I find that every person who is working in the library service fraternity have to be enough qualified to provide the quality service. So that's a very, very important area. And because of that, I have started working towards a leadership core competency framework and getting it customized in All India Institute of Medical Science. And I'm going to look into more on those aspects. So I hope the screen is visible to everybody.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So, see, quality is never an accident, but it is basically, it's an intelligent effort which we need to understand that. Now, these are the speakers, and this was given by a statement was given by John Ruskin, where some of the leading quality gurus have basically talked about it, starting with Edward Deming, Joseph Juran, Kaoru Ishikawa, Armand Feigenbaum, Genishi Taguchi, Philip Crosby, and Shigeo Shingo. So all of them are basically called as the quality gurus in today's concept. Now, when I talk about this particular thing, see, one of the important component which comes to my mind is the Pareto Principle. Now, when I'm talking about a Pareto Principle, it is divided, result is 80%, but 20% according to Wilfredo Pareto It's the efforts which we put. So it is always a 80-20 ratio which we need to look at it. Is a graph that indicates the frequency of errors which we identify and its cumulative impact and how we make an improvisations into that. In fact, I take a lot of sessions on Kaizen principle also, where a continuous improvement, talking about the 5S models and all those things are generally discussed at length. Now, when we are talking about quality, I think when we're talking about a quality, it is no more a 1.0 when we are in a current dimension. We have already taken the leap and we are now heading towards a quality 4.0. And I will show you a framework which has come up now that how I'm talking about we knowledge professionals, how we should look at it, the quality 4.0 in the current context. So let us look at it, the service quality point of view. Now, one of the important word is Q, that is quality. Now, is it Q for quality? Is it Q for quest for quality? Is it Q quest for quality service? Is it Q for quest for quality librarian? Or is it quality 4.0? So we need to find out an answer in our own organization against each one of these components and all. So what is a quality? Quality is physical or non-physical characteristics that constitute the basic nature of a thing or is one of its distinguishing features. This was I've taken from our New World Dictionary, the statement. But according to Phil Crosby, quality is the conformance to requirements. Whereas Duran, when he talks about it, quality is fitness for a purpose. And in fact, I will be describing each one of them. Quality is synonymous with the customer needs and expectations. And it was defined by the Edward Deming. And the quality as the totality of the features and characteristics of a product or a service that bear on its ability to satisfy stated or implied needs of BS 4778, which is British standards. In fact, you would be all happy to know that I have implemented the ISO 9000, which is the quality management systems in Terry also. Now, when you go to buy a cycle, let us take an example. You know, Peter Brophy, in one of his case study, he was talking about a product of a simple grade may be a very high quality product. Quality is not absolute, but depends on the requirement of the specific product or a service. I mean, he is giving an example of a bicycle. For a normal cycle, like you and me, if I want to buy a normal cycle, we need a solidly built, durable, easy to use and a cheap bicycle. But for a racing cyclist, we need an extremely strong, highest durability, lightweight, and maybe an expensive thing. So you can see the product is cycle, but the requirement of each individual is different. We need to understand that differentiation. So quality for one person, it not necessarily be a quality for another. That is according to Peter Brophy has talked about. Let us look at how Dr. S.R. Ranganathan, the father of library science in India, how he has talked about a quality. In one of his prolegomena, he's saying the quality of a library can be evaluated in terms of whether or not it is able to provide the material sought by the users at the time they are needed. So if I look at the first law, that the books are for use, the number one is direction for measuring the quality usage of the resources. Number two is documents acquired must be of good quality in terms of their physical conditions as well as the content, whether it is content rich. For a simple title today, I find there is thousands of print copies or digital copies. They come to my desk, but how do I justify which one is best? Title is sometimes it is ambiguous. I have to consult my subject domain experts to find out which is the right quality of document I should procure for my library. It does not depend only on content alone, but also its accessibility, availability, physical facilities available. In today's environment, it is always 24/7. And that's, I think in the post-pandemic, we have come to know this is the use of it. Looking at the second law, that every reader, his or her book. greater emphasis is given to the users. More modern libraries have to index all macro and micro documents available in the library, enabling the user to get his or her needed information document in time. The library should participate in resource sharing programs to make use of the modern forms of information sources like electronic documents, bibliographic and textual databases, online information sources and services, and the libraries on the internet. The third law is every book or information is its reader. Now, if I look at the third law, I have defined it in this way that it implies the importance of documents and information available in the library, which are to be used to the optimum content. It directs to identify the materials and match the same with the requirement of the users. This law advocates scientific document selection, subject-based organization, advanced and in-depth index of macro and micro documents, effective searching and locating the tools, extension of the services, publicity programs, awareness programs, and marketing of the resources, which also comes into the ambit of this particular third law. As far as the fourth law is concerned of Ranganathan, save the time of the reader, it indicates the importance of fast and efficient quality services to the users by using the advanced technologies, methods, and techniques and tools. And the fifth law, the final law, library is a growing organism. It implies that the library is an institution that contains information resources and services aimed to meet the information requirements of the users. In different formats we are coming across, and in different kinds of structurizations, even the things are coming up. I have developed what is called as a library scorecard. It's a very, very important thing which I have developed. Now, the first in the library scorecard is your service input. Service input cost measures its amount of resources applied to each service, amount of funding applied to each service, and attributes of the service which affect the cost. In fact, let me tell you that when in my past organization in Cherry, when I was working there, there was a lot of senior level competent authorities. They used to ask me a lot of questions when I was heading the resource knowledge management center, that you are procuring so much of expensive resources. How do you measure the cost of how much it has been used? And I'm sure many of you must be facing the same critical type of a problem. Service output measures the quantitative outputs of each service, qualitative outputs of each service, timeliness of outputs for each service, availability of service, and the accessibility of the service. And let me tell you, if you are able to bring in this scorecard, if you apply in your organizations, you would be able to answer many of the questions with a proper framework on this, and you can address it to some of your questions and answers to your competent authority on this. So that's what I want to mention here also. Now, library service scorecard 2, which is basically when I look at it, has also two frameworks. One is on service effectiveness measures, amount of use, how much you are able to use, users' perception of attributes, users expressed the satisfaction, users indicated the importance, the purpose of use, and the consequence of use. I mean, how the impact has created after the usage. Service domain measures like total population size, total population attributes, user population size, user population attributes, size of the geographic area attributes, and the information needs of that. Now, why service quality in libraries? The parent institution has made a commitment to be accountable for customers and compete for their loyalty. Service quality is considered as a way to improve their ability to meet the mission of serving the users. An understanding of these benefits, the customer and the actions of the library is possible, which can be used for planning the improvement of services also. It establishes a close personal contact between the library and the customer And customers are always better informed about the libraries and their services. And it gives opportunity for improvement and raises the overall satisfactions with library services. It enables the review of the service goals and objectives in relation to customer expectations and all. Now, here I would like to mention that that's a very different area where basically I started doing my research also, which is basically called as a sentiment analytics. Now, in the sentiment analytics, I'm linking it with the service quality. Like, see, for example, when you buy today anything online, you go through the reviews. Some of the reviews which you find, they are written in a very positive way, and some of the reviews which are written in a negative way, you find that too. You will be, as a buyer, you must be also experiencing that you are always trying to find out what is the negative effect of that particular thing, of that particular product or which you are planning to buy. You try to look at it and then you do your assessment. See, why a company or an organization putting their both, likes and dislikes both on as a part of the review. We have a habit of doing what? We have a habit of, putting everything goody thing in front of the management. But the thing is that if you look at even the negative part of it and you get a room for improvisation, then you would be able to bring in more better services into those areas. In fact, when I talk to some of the leading corporate giants on these areas based on this sentiment analytics, I find that they take out they tag the important words which are written in their reviews. And I think every library today, they go for a service. I mean, kind of service level or a kind of a feedback system. They go for it. But they always try to, I'm not saying everybody, but it is my habit also to, used to, hide the negative things which are written by the people. But we need to understand that. So we have to change our mindset too on those areas. If we want to bring in a, improvisation in the services itself. So leading quality models with respect to the libraries, which I have come across the globe. This is a Deming's approach, Peter Brophy's model, Jennifer Rowley's model, a McFall's theory, a Parashuram, Zathamal and Berry's model, and then the Lipwall model. And I will be talking in very brief in each one of them because it is part of my, my own dimension of research actually. Now, when I look at the Edward Deming's approach, he says understanding the library system is a very important thing. Focusing on meeting the user's requirements, locating the responsibility and authority for improvement among employee teams. And on this particular component, I will show you that how I'm getting into the, the leadership and the competency framework I have developed. I'm working on that particular area. Using a statistical techniques to measure the results and reduce the variation and continuously improving processes to improve the outcomes actually. If I look at the Peter Brophy's model, it is given into two parts. See, I don't have much time, so I cannot take each one of them on a very details, but certainly my slides could be shared with everybody. When I look at the performance, features, reliability, conformance, durability, currency, we need to look at the library service meets its basic purpose. But making the key information resources available on demand is a most qualitative framework was developed then. And when I get into a very deep study on each one of these Peter Brophy's model and other models which I have gone through, I find that there is a lot of things we need to understand and in a quality. And unfortunately, I don't find that these things are taught even in the library schools today because it needs a lot of research for doing this. So this is the second part of it, like serviceability effect. It has got, the previous one was on performance. So where under performance, they have taken the attributes like features, reliability, conformance, which meets the service, meets the agreed standard and all, like Dublin Core metadata and all, and the currency. Whereas the second part of the model is basically on the serviceability. Like aesthetics, what are the aesthetics? Like visual attractiveness. I always, when I teach my students, I always tell, See, when you visit to a library, say, for example, forget about a word library or a knowledge center. Think about a hotel. A hotel in Paharganj in Delhi, where you will go and take a room, 10 times you have to bang on your head that if you're not getting a quality service. And if they are asking you 2,500 rupees per day per head, you will get a service like that. Whereas if you go to a 4-star or a 3-star library or a hotel, you don't need to bang on your head. You will get a quality thing. And the kind of ambience and the visual attractive. So why can't we create a library which is more attractive? It invites people automatically, physically, they come down. We need to understand that. Assurance, competence, and credibility, courtesy, communication, perceived quality, speed, and the variety of service. So it's a very detailed model which I have studied and all. When I look at the Jennifer Rowley's user's experience, it's a very beautifully, she has described in her research, the speed of the service delivery, like access time and location, convenience, like speed of delivery, location, working hours, range of services, suitability requirements, choice, lifestyle, like preciousness of the time priorities, value added services like, it is not the traditional current awareness service or SDI service or Xerox service. We have to think beyond that. User service, like interaction between the user and the staff, technology, the machines which are there in your system, and then the quality obviously is a major part of it. As far as the McFall's theory is concerned, people come first. We give accurate and reliable information. We are serious about high level of service. We cannot afford to give one wrong answer. We are accessible and easy to approach. We are doers, we work hard. We want our staff to be happy working for us. Service is a state of mind. People must care and have a desire to do it right and do it now. The client is always right. Everyone must be thinking about how to do his or her job better and more effectively. And then the enthusiasm and faith are necessary to remove the barriers and increase the productivity and decrease the cost. So this is what basically the McFall's theory is concerned. Now, the famous model, which I'm sure many of you must have studied, which is given by the LibQual model or service quality model, actually. It was given by the GAP model by Parashuram, Zathamal, and Leonard Berry. So this is one of the best model which I come across. But in fact, like when I was in IIM Lucknow, I was the chief librarian of IIM Lucknow. I have implemented the McFall's theory there because I find it much more suitable. ServQual model and ServQual methodology widely used in retail, actually. And it has been adapted for tourism and even in the healthcare sector, virtually all service professions. And the basic premise is to learn from customer perceptions of service quality. LibQual is the adaptation of the ServQual instrument to the library environment. Now, measuring service quality, which I have discussed. So ServQual instrument identifies 3 customer perceptions: minimal, optimal, and current service level. The relative ranking of the current level to the minimal and optimal levels provides a gap. So the thing is that we need to understand that there is we have to identify the gap. That's a very important thing. See, I'll give you an example. A user coming to your library, he has certain things in his mind when he's entering your library. And when after he gets a service, he goes back to his seat. He was expecting something. He perceived something after meeting you and all. Is there any gap? Or you have provided him what he was looking for? That's what is a measurable thing today. It measures on the user's perception of service excellence, like zones of tolerance, gaps of opportunity, And a lot of service improvement is required in this area. So ServQual metrics is based on tangibles like appearance of the physical facilities, equipment, personnel, communication materials, reliability, ability to perform promised service, responsiveness, willingness to help the customers. Customers means your users, and provide the prompt service. Assurance, knowledge and courtesy of employees and their ability to convey trust and confidence. Empathy, the caring, the individualized attention the firm provides its customers. So there is a relationship. We need to find out a kind of a conjunction between the expectations and perceptions. Expectations are pre-belief about a product or a service. These are three types. What will happen in their next service encounter? What should happen? What they feel they deserve in their service encounter? Customers' ideal standard. Whereas perception of service quality is defined as a discrepancy between what the customer feels the service provider should offer and his perception of what the service firm offered. Many times I find that even in current institutions, All India Institute, when different doctors are visiting me and they are expecting certain information, when they go and meet my subordinate or my juniors, my other colleagues, I find that when they are perceiving it, there is always a gap is there. So they are not satisfied when they are going back. So I did a study on this, and then I'm saying, let me talk to these people and find out exactly what is their pain points. Which are those pain areas? I should touch upon all those pain areas. And I started doing it. I got a commendable results on that. Now, it has got another notion is, now these people have started regularly coming to me. That's also a very big problem. So I became too much of engagement in those areas. So if the performance does not match the expectation of the customer, a gap rises. So there is a gap in it. And that gap was done by the Parashuram, Sithamal and Berry's model. Gap one is the difference between what customer expected and what management perceived customers expected. Gap two is the difference between the management perceptions of customer expectation and translation of those perception into service quality. That's a very important thing we need to understand that. Gap three is the difference between the service quality specifications and the delivery of these specifications to the customers. Gap four is the difference between the service delivered and the external communications about the service. And the gap five is the difference between what customer received and what they expected. It is the sum of the gap of 1 to 5 is basically the summing up of that. So that these are the gaps are important. So universal quality model, if I look at today, you can see here in this diagram, it's all started with ServQual model, where we talked about the tangibles, reliability, responsiveness, assurance, empathy, everything. So LibQual model was derived from, it is an offshoot of ServQual model, which looked at, effect of services, access to information, library as a place, it is on that. But there are two more models I have come across now. And these two models are very, very important in today's context. One of them is called as Digiqual Model and another is called WebQual Model. Digiqual Model was developed for and please remember that this is because many of my PhD students, basically when they involve, I ask them to do a lot of study on this. But the attributes which I have written on the Digiqual, it is not sacrosanct, but it changes a lot in today's context. So Digiqual model is basically looking at the digital quality. When you are creating a digital library, how do you measure the quality of that? So that's where your digital quality comes into that. And WebQual is basically when you have, in fact, it has got other arms also, which I have not defined here, which is called as a social qual model, where web quality is that when you are designing a website or you are putting your library into the different social media parameters and all, how you get into the social qual and the web qual. In one of the study, I found that when I include all of them, your LibQual, Digiqual, and WebQual, SocialQual, I include all of them. What is coming up is today, which all of us need to debate out, is all called universal quality model, which is called UQual models. So there's a lot of study has to be done on universal quality model like user interface quality, ease of access, DL sustainability, currency and accuracy, affordability, intuitive, and many more things. A lot of components are there on this particular thing. So this is what I was talking about, the quality 4.0. And it is basically, depend on, since I am basically a game man, so I work a lot on the knowledge management area. So most important thing is that it is on people, process, and technology. Traditional core quality is there in the core. I'm not saying that it is not there. I'm not missing it out. It is there in the core. But in the periphery, which has come up over the years, which the leaps which I shown from quality 1.0 to 4.0, since there is a lot of technology has come into the picture, and I'll show you in my next diagram. Quality 4.0 blends new technology with traditional quality methods to arrive at new optimums in operational excellence, performance, and innovation. The new technologies include machine learning, artificial intelligence, connected devices, operations, new forms of collaboration like social media, blockchain, big data, cloud computing, AR and VR application, mashups, makerspace, and many more things and all. So if I look at the next diagram, so it is according to a LNS research, who have done a complete research on knowledge management and related to, the quality parameters and all. They came out with 11 attributes. And these 11 attributes are extremely important when we are devising a game system based on quality 4.0. When we talk, and these 11 components, in fact, it has got a much more research papers on this, like analytics, data, app development, connectivity, scalability, collaboration, competency, leadership, culture, compliance, and management system. And each one of the components, if you talk about, say, for example, analytics, if you're talking about big data analytics, it is not only the analytics, but we also need you need to get into the nitty-gritties of visualization, prescriptive analytics, predictive analytics, diagnostic analytics, descriptive analytics, and many more. So you have to go very deep into it. If you are developing an app, so what are you taking a quality parameter of the app also, and how it is, it's a web client based browser acoustic is there or not, or it is a native mobile and all, or mashup is there. So these components are going to be a very, very important aspects of this particular thing and all. So now I will take up the next part of it, since I work with the All India Institute of Medical Science, a healthcare sector is the largest healthcare sector in the country today. I'm sure all of you know. It has played a very big role in during this pandemic period, thanks to my director, Professor Randeep Guleria. I think he is a well-known figure now to everybody. So what I have understood, I mean, this is a part of my quality research also. There are unanswered clinical questions which impacts the patient management system. And I find that there are always, physicians have approximately 11 questions a day. And this has come up from a a very renowned American medical journal. The study came out, and when I look at my data also from him, 60% of the questions go unanswered. And answering all clinical questions could from 5 to 8. So patient decisions each day. So out of 11 questions, we can answer only 5 to 8. They have to wait for the next 11 questions arrive, or we have to find out an answer for that. So what is most important they look for in today's, and being a kind of a chief librarian of All India Medical Institute, and it would be all glad to know that I have been just a week back, I have taken over as the heads of all AIMS now. So trusted resource, comprehensive content, and impacts outcome. So when I look at the B.B. Dixit library today, one of the important strategic focus is supporting the academic innovation, stimulating the scholarly research, enriching the student experience, equipping students for academic success, developing superlative library professionals, renewing and sustaining library environments, ensuring financial accountability, and pursuing the partnership. So most important thing is the right guidance they want, the right decision they have to take for the patient at the right time, in the right context and the right format. So when I look at the information service categorization, it is divided into 5 categories. Basic library services, which I'm sure all of you are aware. Web-based services are there. Additional services we have started like literature search, library alerts, interlibrary loan, book exhibitions and all. Research support service is a very new thing which I have started since I have got a background on the research area. Research assistance service, research query desk, research trends in health research and research integrity, and then capacity building and author workshop, book talk, research literacy programs and webinars and all. All my information for my researchers, it is available anytime, anywhere, 24/7, 365 a day. My library is never closed because it is a medical sector. In fact, we played a very, very pragmatic role during the COVID period. I think we are the only ones we were open in the entire country, even during the pandemic period. But there was a lot of restrictions and all. Very limited staff were allowed to, enter the library and all. So it was there, but library was never open. So live on the clock, library was, was provided. E-resources, seamless access to resources were available. Reference query was provided to everybody because there was a lot of demand for it. So that is how actually I looked at the entire, requirement of the researchers in the during the COVID period, especially during the COVID period. And as I mentioned that we have also need to provide it to my other AIMS branches and all, everybody to provide that. So it is not meant for only Bibi Dixit Library when you see it in Delhi. It is not that, but we have several other branches also so we have to provide them. Our services is access to online resources, research support service, academic integrity service, reference management, research to publication service. And I'm sure these services you are also providing, but these services are extremely value-added services now. And you can provide these services only when you have you have a very strong insight, you are well-read, you have a very strong commitment to do all these things, because these are not a very easy things to do, as I find. And access to online resources. We have a huge collection of electronic databases, multimedia databases. We measure the research output and all. And we also have an electronic thesis and dissertations and all are given. But the major databases for clinical decision support system is what is basically called as BMJ best practices, British Medical Journal. We have a BMJ case report. We provide the Web of Science, Clarivate Analytics, Scopus, and up-to-date from Wolters Kluwer. We have a collection of more than 1,400 resources and all. You can see from, you name the biggest publishers, they are available with us. And we also provide a lot of access to ebooks like Access Medicine, OVD books, Oxford Medicine Online, and we have the entire collection of us with us. One of the things which has taken a new leaps and bounds, it is going, that is on multimedia databases, where I find that a lot of, the faculty and the researchers, and when I talk about my doctors, see, I have a different categories. There is a, the entire crowd of the clinicals as well as non-clinicals would be somewhere around 3,500. When I serve them, so I find that there is a lot of multimedia human anatomy databases have to be, brought in. Like, for example, if somebody is having a, say, for example, on lymphoblastic leukemia, or maybe he's suffering from some, some kind of a tumorous growth in, in gum or somewhere. So he has to go a kind of, an operation on that. So during this pandemic period, these databases have played a very important role where we can, provide them the live demonstration of the surgery, how it has taken place, it can be taken place. And I myself have studied very deeply into this especially the Ackland's anatomy and all. The research support service is a very strong area where we provide continuous, we have created a research desk services for remote access rights, the assistance in academic integrity, document delivery service, and interlibrary loan also. Under the research support services, we continuously, I mean, it is not once, but we have to provide this academic integrity. I do a lot of paraphrasing for my doctors and all. I sit with them, help them out to, a lot of service. So these are part of, very qualitative, value-added service to be provided to your, to your user fraternity. Project-based, a lot of people are writing a project, so they never had such kind of a template or a framework. Since I had a very strong background from a project management, because I am a KM and a PM specialist, so I provide them a lot of, I provide them a lot of assistance on this area. Capacity building tools on research tools, knowledge discovery, and then the citation management, which is a very common thing and all. After I've joined, so I picked up a couple of my, colleagues from my team itself. What I did is created what is called as a research mapping of aims of publications. And I created a research team, a library research team, and we started working on this area. This was a very additional area which I worked a lot along with my friend. So the most important thing is core value, strengthening the research of aim. That was our main aim. So mission was knowledge mapping of the aims research output, and the vision is to map the research publication of aims, to create an institutional repository of aims publications, and to create a provision in intranet to visualize the research output. Now see, this is a very, very classical service which we have started, a research team we have started. Why? The reason being is that we want to bridge the gap between, in the academic section, between the library and the researchers. Library and the faculty who are there. So the first idea is capturing the aims research base. What was there in it? Second idea was visualizing the aims research base. And third idea is strengthening the research base. So we have completed up to the second idea. And third idea, I have to, work on that particular area. 21st September is considered as a Institute Day in All India Institute of Medical Science. So on that day, I have showcased the entire research output of aims on COVID-19 and it was inaugurated by the Honorable Minister as well as the Director, Professor Randeep Guleria on this. So it was a huge applaud I got for this entire, and with me and my research team, as well as the research division of aims, which is a huge division, we both of us worked together and we came out with this. So this work was started by me on this. So how all this started? Because we subscribed to Embase, Web of Science, Scopus. So we did a lot of database evaluations and all. And what we also tried, there was an entire work was done on this particular area, and there was a lot of research services, support services after that. Now, one of the important component where I'm talking about a research, quality research service. So what I have started right now is I developed what is called as a research vision for aims. And I have created certain tools for and it was a research canvas actually. And when I'm talking about a canvas, I developed a templates, how to write a suitable article, a best possible article, how to design a research, how to bring in a research justification, and how you create a research model. And each one of them is a very detailed framework, which I have studied. And each one of them, if you are able to answer each of the questions of each of the sections. In fact, when I was delivering a talk at Indian Council of Medical Research on this, they were completely flabbergasted after seeing this, because I was teaching them how, this was such an interesting tool was created that today everybody, for the entire fraternity, if they go through this particular framework, they can able to write anything or any piece anytime. Only thing you have to give an answer to that question. But those questions are very typical. It's not so easy to answer them like that. One of the important area where I started working with one of my, a person who is very closely known to me because he is a hardcore researcher from Austria. His name is Professor Peter Kacker. So Peter was basically developed a model which is called as an open knowledge maps. So he has developed a model which is on exclusively on the medical sector, healthcare sector, and it is given a new dimension as a part of the quality research for them. So what we did, like, for example, I was the research team, they gave me that how do you do that particular framework? So they gave me 4 questions. How do you find out the research quality service? I mean, the research work done in the of tuberculosis, research work done on brain tumor, research work on liver diseases, and the research work done on pheochromocytoma and aesthetic management. So 4 areas was done. So using his knowledge map platform and all, I could bring out this entire mechanisms. And it is a very, very powerful AI-based mechanism. In fact, I would invite everybody to come and join my session on 27th April, where we would be, along with the World Bank, we are coming up with the entire sessions on this open knowledge maps and how to address SDG 3.0. So I'm developing an entire course structures on that area also. The academic integrity service was very important. I'm sure all of you must be doing like authenticate platform, paraphrasing, developing an academic integrity policy for AIMS. Then also helping them out to publish a lot of research articles. See, the most problem which I find when I provide the service to my researchers is that how do you publish the right content for the right resource? See, we need to understand what are the method articles, what are the study protocols, what are the software tools, what are the systematic reviews, what are the data notes, the research notes, antibody validation articles, opinion articles, case report, registered. See, all of them are different. What they used to create a problem is that they used to, see, somebody is writing a registered report, they are mixing it up with the method articles. So it's getting rejected. So they don't know what is the kind of write-up I should write for a certain thing. So that methodology, I'm trying to help them out on those areas. And it's a very, very detailed area. And I create a lot of computer programs and, a lot of programs for these people on this area. Accessing the rights using the remote access platform. So I'm sure it's all known to everybody. Reference management, giving a lot of training on Mendeley, Zotero and all. That's also known to. But in addition to that, like, for example, I've started giving a, there is a very interesting platform called Prospero, that how do you write a project proposal using a Prospero, which is a very powerful model, which is there. So I'm training them on that particular area. And research to publication is, we have a tie-up with the British Medical Journal, and there we have created course modules. And for each one of them, these course modules, all my, the budding UG students, the doctors, the super cream students, they come and join and all, the junior resident doctors, the senior resident doctors, the researchers. On each and every paper, we have provided them a lot of materials to, write the classical publications. And we do conduct a lot of programs in these areas also. So what do I basically call it? A knowledge development program, a KDP. It is under a banner of Digital Health Connect now. So Digital Health Connect 20 is the main banner of the program, under which lot of, health knowledge development programs we are conducting. Like one of them, that's the next one is coming up in April. So using appropriate tools and techniques for the research output, lot of customized orientation programs, book talk series, author workshop, tailor-made programs for the nursing students, for the operation theater technicians, because they need a lot of, motivational program structures on that. Publishers workshop and exhibition, that's also getting created. So we have got a presence in the intranet now because it has got a new ERP. So after I joined, along with these developments, I want to, as a part of the branding, actually, I developed that. And we also, there is a LMS platform which was created, which is called as AIMS Saral. So we created a very specific area for all the faculty members, which is on how they can best access the B.V. Dixit library resources and all. So users are submerged in resources. Library and librarians are the only savior. And that I have proved to my entire users fraternity. So they have to come back to us. So strengthening the research aims like accessibility, usability, discoverability. So healthcare is a knowledge industry, but it can only be possible when you have the right teams in the right place, right knowledge and evidence at the right time. It was actually given by Dr. Navina Evans, who is the Chief Executive of the Health Education of England. And our ambition and the aims embodies, since we work with the staff, the learners, the patients. So right knowledge and evidence at the right time in the right place is the most high quality decision making, learning, research and innovation is the most primary area. And that is what we are aiming at. So bring on the achievements, investing in a high quality digital knowledge infrastructure. When we are coming up with a huge project, so I'm a part of that huge project of complete digital transformation of AIMS. And I'm bringing in the One AIMS Connect now, a model, empowering the knowledge and library services with the workforce skills, shaping forward-looking and innovative health knowledge and information service, developing a complete strategic framework where the right team, resources, services are in place and balanced with each other, mobilizing the evidence and knowledge, assuring the quality of knowledge and services, improving health literacy, developing the knowledge and library services of a workforce. And according to Patrick Michel, by offering an open door for anyone looking for answers, being non-judgmental, support and digital resources 24 hours a day, National Health Education Service of Knowledge Specialists put the evidence into evidence-based practice. So knowledge specialists play a very pivotal role in improving the quality of healthcare, increasing productivity, and reducing the unwarranted variation. And this is a proved report has come out from NHS that if you don't have a right time at the right people providing the right decisions, and which can be done only by the knowledge specialists, and we should call ourselves as clinical knowledge specialists, then otherwise we are not able to do a proper thing. Preparing the entire healthcare workforce to embrace the new opportunity. So how to provide a best of the knowledge services, information product, tools and techniques, just in time, just for me. So these are the things I am looking at in a healthcare sector in a very, very big way. And I'm coming up with some of the very big models also on these areas. The vital role of the knowledge specialist is improving the patient outcomes, reducing unnecessary intervention, shaping the policy, underpinning the educations, enabling the shared decision-making, and facilitating research and spread of innovation. Equip the healthcare workforce. They need to understand, training on skills, develop a knowledge assets, maintain the repositories, and promote and manage the digital resources, including those nationally funded and all. Then prepare the evidence. So there is a lot of, rehearsing is required, a lot of reinvigoration is required for all these things. So knowledge for healthcare is the right resource, the right team with the right roles, and the right services. So this is a very, very important area when I look at it, even from a quality perspective on this area. So according to, Medical Library Association, so I started working on a competency framework for my workflow because everything cannot be done by me. So I work on a team. So competency framework that we need to look at the health information professionals. How does he locates, synthesize it, delivers authoritative information on biomedical areas and health inquiries. So competency framework is for number one, that is information service. And I have created indicators taking from the source from MLA. that these are the indicators based on which I would be doing the next level of study. These are performance indicators. In fact, I'm developing a KPI model on this now. Competency 2 is on information management, which more on those things are required. Competency 3 on instruction and instructional design. Because since we are working with the academic unit very strongly, so instruction and instructional design is a very important component. Competency 4 is on leadership management, and competency 5 is evidence-based practice and research. So a health information evaluates the research studies, use the research to improve the practice, conducts research himself and communicates. In fact, you would be happy to know that I am right now conducting 2 major projects in AIMS, and I have become a co-PI of both the projects, which are, I'm an environmental scientist, but I think I have studied a lot on medical sector. Now I became a co-PI of 2 major projects also. Competency 6 is health information professionals, where basically promotes the development of the health information proponents. How does it collaborate with other professionals and all? So clinicians have questions every day in the course of routine patient care. Changing decisions improves the patient outcomes. So access resource, or you can reach us. So I am just at a pilot stage, I would say, but it will grow up into 100%, a huge tree over the years. That is what I look at. So these are basically my team members. So thank you very much for inviting me, Minal, once again for this particular talk. And all. Thank you very much. I would be happy to take some questions.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ganguly. You have so elaborated this topic, which we have not heard the names of the services also. So, and the models you have explained very well. Excellent presentation made by you on this topic, because service quality is very important in our library profession. Mostly libraries are providing the services, maybe traditional services or the web-based services, etc. But how to provide the quality services which are based on the various models which you have explained. Actually, we don't know such type of model also. And theoretically, as well as your experience, you have put it into that. So I like you very much, your presentation.
Thank you, sir.
And other our participants also have enjoyed this presentation. So Minal, have you any questions in the chat box?
Yeah, actually, there are so many queries regarding quality assessment and implementation and related issues, zone of tolerance, like that, particularly regarding the Digiqual and WebQual tools, which are newly introduced. So will you please focus on that, Shantanu? First of all, thank you so much for such a elaborative session you conducted as far as the quality aspects are concerned, and how exactly you are implementing those techniques at AIMS, because seeing is believing. So when we witness the quality, then only we are able to believe its existence. Otherwise, it is so much difficult to believe the existence of the standards and what exactly you are following at your end. So very beautifully you elaborated from your end. So thank you so much for that. It's really a crucial and niche area as far as the library service quality is concerned. Will you please focus on the Digiqual or WebQual tools which are newly introduced?
Thank you, Minal. Thank you, Professor Suresh, on this. See, Digiqual and WebQual, both these models are basically, Digiqual is basically meant for the digital quality, basically. When you see, we are all in the, I'll give you an example. I was doing a project with GIZ. Now, the first and the foremost thing when I was doing the project, it was a huge project where I have to create a digital library on electric vehicles. Now, this is a new area which has come up on electric vehicles, and nowadays it is cropping up and all.
Yeah.
So the first and the foremost thing that before developing a digital library, I did a lot of background study with my SMEs that what is exactly the electric vehicles. Because when I look at the transport sector, because I created a transport information center also. So when I look at it, I find that there is a lot of things to study on the electrical vehicles. A lot of things are there because a lot of technical aspects are there. A lot of government's policy framework has come up in the pictures and all.
Correct.
So when I was creating the digital library on electric vehicles, initially I thought I would be able to, I'm a library science person, I've been creating digital library, I would be able to do it. The biggest problem is that I could not create a taxonomy of electric vehicles. And we are supposed to be an expert on those areas. So the problem came when I have to do the semantic ontology of the electric vehicles, because there is no such kind of a thing was there. See, actually, when you are developing a digital library and when you are creating such kind of a framework, if you are putting something on a digital library, a structurization, how each and every section is giving back to you something, you have to think over it from a customer point of view. Correct. It is what we generally do it. We do it from our own convenience point of view. It's not like that. We have to put the shoes on the customer's shoes, and then we have to think, he is not a library person. You cannot bring in your library jargons here. You have to make it user-friendly. You have to create an impact. And what has happened when the digital library, in fact, in Digiqual Model, there are a lot of things. Why there is a very huge, and it is not a new model. It is completely a very old model. It has been studied a long back, somewhere around 10 years, I think more than a decade now. So when Digiqual Model was developed, but it is evolving day by day, it is coming up and all. In fact, I've used it in my, while developing the digital library of electric vehicles. Each and every section, I have to do a measurement. This particular section I'm putting, and I'm looking at, we're giving it a gestation period or a retention period, that how much time I should keep this particular section. How many people are visiting on each section? So I used to get into those analytics of each and every sections. If a particular section is not giving me a return, I used to drop it and bring in something new. So digital library quality measurement is an evolving process. It is not a one-time process, number one. Same is with the web qual. In fact, when we create a website, the same thing happens. I'll give you one of the important example where I was developing the social media platform of Terry. Because I became an advisor on the communication strategy development for various organizations on social media aspects. So what I did is basically, there was a lot of social media components were created. We create say on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Insta, we have something. But at the end of the day, how do we measure the impact of it? Of each and every section. So there is a model called Hootsuite model. So I used the Hootsuite. It was a very big template where each and every sections were customized. And we used to take a record of that, and then an improvisation quality measurement was done for each and every day. So that is what exactly basically, and another thing which I mentioned there, which actually I started in AIMS also in these areas, like what is basically called as a sentiment analytics. We conduct a lot of, library survey. We have been doing this. Amazon and, Flipkart and all, they have taken our concept, I would say. But we have been doing it in documentation. And another thing is that we have been showing only the goody things. The bad things are generally kept aside, because we are very afraid of what our competent authority will have that in mind. Fine, you don't need to show them, but those things you bring it out and then you make an improvisation on that. So that is, you need to understand the sentiments of the users. It is very important in today's context, because after all, we are dealing with the users only. That is what I can say.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Shantanu. Actually, you rightly mentioned quality lies in the eyes of the customer.
Yes.
So whenever we are trying to assess, first of all, we need to see, after all, it's a service-based industry, and it is meant for our esteemed users. So first of all, we should attend them very seriously, and very seriously we should assess our own performance, what they are thinking about us, about our services, their perceptions, their expectations, minimum level acceptance and all. Actually, when I was going through the variety of research work conducted on the Scorecard and related service quality aspects, as far as my knowledge is concerned, I found so many research work done in the hotel industry, especially where the Kano model and the related models are applied so successfully, including the web call tool. So just I am trying to working on that. How can we imbibe those things further, and we can combine these three models for the further studies to measure the exact quantitative and qualitative approach as such. So it's a really very niche area, and there are so many things you realize whenever you are working on it. With these words, thank you so much once again for being here and interactive so lively and answering so frankly.
No. It's a very good lecture, Ganguly. Very
yes,
nice.
Please, Daivate sir.
It is very informative since you are working on a
let
specialized
me introduce Dr.
No, it's
Daivate.
okay, madam. Okay,
He
no
is
problem,
the former principal technical officer from National Chemical Laboratory, and he has a huge experience as far as the patent division is concerned.
I am currently working on this area in AIMS. I have got into because I have created a research team. So I am working with, Darwin Innovation Systems and all this.
Yes.
So I am into now patents.
Yeah, very good. That is the niche area nowadays. That is more. Yeah. But your services are very excellent, which are required by the specialists, especially doctors, chemists, and business. Whatever may be the area, that is very well required. And all the services you are giving are excellent. And I listened it very carefully and I digested it also, and I compare with my work, how I worked for the scientist working in chemical industries.
Yes.
So thank you, Shantanu. It's a great.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. In fact, I have visited. I have visited to your institute also, sir. NCL.
Yeah, I know.
Because I was a project leader for Cyro project.
Yeah.
And I did a very big project for Cyro, and I was with DSIR. So I did a project for that, and during that I have visited your NCL.
Okay. Oh, yes.
Sir, you are not only explained the various models,
but
share your experiences on each model, what your institute is implementing in your institution.
Correct,
that you have explained very well.
Yes.
So I
very nicely elaborated.
Appreciate your work, research work, and teamwork in AIMS. So
thank you,
sir. Very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Have a nice time, sir.
Actually, he is carrying a big quality history right from Terry.
Yes.
So, yes. I know.
No, from my I am Lucknow days.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
I'm not aware with that. I am Lucknow's work. I could find only Terry's history, and I met you in Terry only.
Yes.
Minal, any question again?
No hands further, no questions. Okay. Yep. Thank you.
Minal, can I take leave because I have to dash to the office now?
Sure.
Professor Suresh, please excuse me. I have to dash to the office. If anybody has any questions, they can get it connected with me.
Yes, sir.
And it's not a problem at all, sir.
Yeah.
And actually, it's a financial year closing, so you can imagine there is a lot of pressure is on me. Because So a lot of things are there.
March is not excuse for any librarian.
Yes.
So you have to
so you are a university librarian, you know.
Yeah.
So somehow I could skip out this time. I can't say no to Minal, so I have to skip out this time. I have got another 6 rounds of presentations this entire till 31st March. So
Yes,
I'll be speaking at 6 places on different topics areas. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Minal.
Sir.
Thank you so much, Shantanu.
Yes, thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.
Bye. We'll wait for the another speaker, Dr. Ashish Biswas. Still he joins. Participants, dear participants, if you have any questions, please put in the chat box. We need your active participation, not only through the attendance, but also through the QA mode. These sessions are very, very interactive and very lively topics we have chosen for the LIS professionals. Thank you so much. We'll wait for 1 minute till the resource person joins.
Before time we have completed the first session.
Welcome, Dr. Ashish. Welcome, Dr. Ashish. Please correct your image. It's in reverse order. Dr. Ashish, please make yourself audible. Ashish, Dr. Ashish. I think he's not able to.
Maybe muted. Huh?
Yeah.
Has he joined?
Yes, ma'am. I'm correcting my video.
Yeah, please. Yes. Shall I go ahead with your introduction meanwhile?
Just a minute, ma'am.
Yeah, sure. Take your own time.
No, it is okay.
Yes. So welcome all.
Okay, okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Welcome all. And it's my pleasure to welcome you once again in the second session of the second day. The second resource person we have is Dr. Ashish Biswas. He's the librarian at Victoria Institution, Kolkata. He is the joint editor of College Libraries, WBCLA, which is a UGC CARE listed journal. And also he is a joint secretary of West Bengal College Librarians Association. He is a life member of ISLIC, Indian Congress Association. Apart from that, he has authored one book, An Introduction to Library Management, in 2011. He has also several research papers in his credit, which are published in the peer-reviewed journals as well as in the research, in the various conference proceedings. He has conducted so many invited sessions at various places across the nation. His area of interest are open access, scholarly communication, green library, community information service. Actually, as far as scholarly communication, his topic is concerned, there is no need for me to inform you all that how much important this topic is nowadays. And really, it has become a hot topic of today's world, as we are all working in a virtual mode. and we are accessing the material through online mode. Full text online material we are accessing whenever we are trying to study for a particular topic. Nowadays, plagiarism issue, as well as the UGC care list, Scopus, right? So Web of Science, all these words are becoming a buzzwords, and really it has become a challenge for the researchers how to publish, how to write, what are the criteria when we are talking about the scholarly communication, how to communicate, how to write in a authentic way. So what is the measurement of authenticity? So in this regard, Dr. Ashish is the right source for that, I believe. With this introduction, over to you, Dr. S.K. Patil, sir. And I welcome once again Dr. Ashish, and thank you for accepting our invitation.
Thank you, Dr. Meenal. I welcome Dr. Ashish Biswas. He has already been introduced by Dr. Meenal. And your topic is scholarly communication. Everybody, we are all professional. We are communicating each other. But how scholarly we have to communicate? What are those areas which comes under the scholarly communication that has been now discussed by Dr. Ashish Biswas? And I hope many questions will be asked by our participants on this scholarly communication. Not taking much time, I request Dr. Biswas to speak on the scholarly communication, but keep last 10 minutes for the question and answer. So if questions have asked by the participant, so you will be the right person to answer those answers. Thank you very much. Now over to Ashish. Dr. Biswas, you are muted, so please unmute.
Now it is okay? My voice is audible?
Yes, okay now.
Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, I thank Dr. Suresh Patil sir for chairing this session. And I must thank Dr. Mrs. Meenal Oak for giving me this opportunity to speak something or share some of my views in this international webinar, because for the last 2 months, we have discussed a lot of things regarding this webinar and the arrangement of the topic. I also proposed some topics. She also proposed some topics. And last of all, we decided that it will be a better topic of discussion on scholarly communication. So thank you very much, Dr. Meenal Oak, again for giving me this opportunity to speak or share some of my views regarding the scholarly communication.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So let me share my screen first of all. Is the screen visible? The screen is visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
it is visible.
Yes, visible.
Okay, thank you. So as the topic I have already mentioned, I will try to cover the lot of things associated with the scholarly communication. As said by Dr. Meenal Oak, this is a hot topic, and the bigger aspects are there. That's why I have said the word panorama of scholarly communications. So within the brief time, I will try to share some of the related aspects that is very important to understand, to what kind of develop is going on regarding the scholarly communication field, etc., etc. So First of all, we know that scholarly communication is very important in the academic area nowadays, because a lot of research works are going on, and our aim is to access those research works for further research work. Access those research work for further research works. If I cannot understand, or I cannot access what kind of research works are going on, what kind of scholarly communications are going on, so it is not possible to deal with the research gaps. So this is very important, the availability or accessibility of the scholarly information, because a lot of aspects, models, barriers, openness, at the same time openness are also there. So a comprehensive look is there, where the barriers are there, or where the openness are there, and who will control, or who is controlling this scholarly communication process. So before going the related aspects, let me very briefly say something about the scholarly communication. Most of us are very well known about the at least the primary aspects of the scholarly communication. I'm not going about the genesis or historical development of the scholarly communication. I am basically focusing on the present aspect and the future trends of scholarly communication. So before starting, let me say a few things about the scholarly communication. That scholarly communication is an umbrella term that describes the many ways in which scholars and researchers share their work, basically publishing in print and electronic journals, archiving their works in digital repositories, or on subject-specific websites. So using email, listserv, mailing lists, and online communities, creating new issues as venues for dissemination, especially online. So currently, the field of scholarly communication is undergoing major changes, as open access and copyleft philosophies have begun to impact scholars' attitudes about sharing their work in a major way. So the innovations that is going on in the field of scholarly communication, that is traditionally scholarly communication has occurred in the formal literature, that is journal articles, conference proceeding, book chapters, and books. However, as the left side image demonstrates, the landscape is changing dramatically, because discovery part is there, then the analysis part, then the writing, then the publication, then the outreach, that is the accessibility of all the scholarly information, then the assessment, that is the evaluation, how far we are getting access about all those scholarly communication happening in all over the world, whether we are getting the full text, or at least abstract, or at least the bibliography, or the references, etc., etc. So here I have tried to present the whole gamut of scholarly communication through a graphical presentation. That is from the very beginning, from the left side, that first it will start from the data collection. Data collection that can be originated from the primary research work or any laboratory work. Then who will be the chief person, or the responsible person for that creation or the generation of that scholarly information, that is author, editor. Then the peer reviewing part, because whatever I am originating through my research work, how far it is authentic, how far it is primary, that should be reviewed by a different persons, or the different organizations or body, to judge it authenticity, you know, or the level of how much it is primary level. Then the rights management, that the copyright issues are or should be associated with those kind of publications. So this part is also very important. Later on, I will discuss in detail. Then the publication model, through which model I will publish my research work, so that it can have some accessibility, in which mode it will reach to the targeted audience or the researchers. Then the discovery, then whenever it will be available to the researcher or the academicians, or through the libraries. So from the right side, I have created an arrow. The top side, that is open access and reasonable prices, increases collaboration and discoverability. At the same time, collaboration and discoverability is very much related. So next, that is the scholarly communication publishing model. I will shift from here to publishing models, because models, why I am focusing so much importance on models, because models are basically much more important, because whatever the research works are getting published, those published works how it is getting accessed or it is available to the targeted audience or the researchers, scholars, or libraries. That is very much important, because a lot of research work are going on, but how much impact it is creating to the researcher or to the library users or to the academicians, that can only be evaluated if we focus on the publishing models. So first, I am focusing on the business model. That is, a scholarly communication can be thought of as a system through which research and scholarship is created, evaluated, distributed, and preserved. So this system includes traditional or formal publications, such as scholarly journal articles, scholarly chapters, or monographs, and conference proceedings. It also includes continually emerging publications, such as datasets, data visualizations, working papers, and blogs. So this cycle can be related with all kinds of models, but I have included under the publication model, that is the business model. Why? Because it starts from here, that is the creation, then the evaluation, then the publication, then dissemination and access. From this part, dissemination access, works are distributing in prior or online through libraries, retailers, or the web. Then the preservation part is also important, because whatever we are getting published, it should be preserved for the posterity or for the future generation. Then how we will reuse all those preserved scholarly information, that is also important. Whether it is the matter of fair use, copyright, or Creative Commons license, all are very much associated with this part of reuse. Step by step, I will discuss all those things. Now the diversified models, that is another important publication models, that is scholarly publishing relies upon an unusual economic model. So there are three important participants in the industry: faculty, scholars, publishers, and the college or universities that purchase the journals, usually through their library system. So in these three stakeholders, publisher can be said as the middleman by vetting, publishing, and distributing the scholarly content of the journals. Basically, journals articles are much more important among all those items of scholarly communication information. Now, the publishers have a mediating role in the industry. Obviously, they are collecting all those scholarly informations, or the scholars also communicating with them to publish their research work so that it can get access to the targeted audience. Then the incentives of faculty scholars to participate in the cycle are twofold. Why I'm telling about this twofold? Because basically they want to publish their research works to get an impact factor in the scholarly communication field. Another practical part is that whenever we are in some kind of profession, so for the professional development or the career development, that is one popular term is there, that is CASH, Career Advancement Scheme. So for that, the publication, scholarly publication is very much important. So twofold aspects are there. And the third part, that is the academic libraries, have again two conflicting incentives in the current business model. Why two conflicting current incentive part is there? Because academic libraries, their primary focus is to collect as far as possible to connected with the scholarly journals, so that their users or scholars or academicians can have access to all the scholarly information. But unfortunately, what is happening, the administrator, they are basically constantly pressurized, better I should say the term pressurized, to reduce the budget. So at this time, the increasing demand of the scholarly information, on the other hand, the shrinking budget. So these two conflicting dimensions library authority has to handle. Next, the industry analysis. So academic journal publishers operate on a for-profit basis, and the major incentive is to maintain or increase profit margins. So they justify their price increases for a variety of reasons. The academic journal publishing industry encompasses the creation, review, packaging, and distribution of knowledge and or information in multiple formats for use mainly by academic and scientific consumers. So For-profit publishers, their main motto is to get some profit through publishing their scholarly information. And what is happening here? Just a minute. So here I have provided some data that who are playing the major role in scholarly communication process. That is the publisher point of view. That is Elsevier, Taylor and Francis, Wiley-Blackwell published 41% of all papers in social science and humanities in 2013. This is a little bit old data I have collected. Then Elsevier, Wiley and Blackwell, Springer Nature published 47% of all papers in natural and medical science again in 2013. So also in top 5 academic publishers, SAGE Publishing and ACS is also there. Elsevier in 2013, as per the Relax Annual Report 2013, 1.8 million articles submitted and 4,70,000 articles published, 2,500 journals managed by more than 20,000 editors, 9 new subscriptions and 45 full open access journals are also there under their belt. Then 18% of the world's scientific articles, they are also covered. So in this current model, faculty members are more dependent upon So dependency is increased by the fact that there are a relatively large number of faculty members seeking an outlet for their scholarly output compared to the number of journals available within an academic discipline. So demand is there for to get the proper source for publications of their scholarly research works or articles, etc., etc. So the bargaining part is very important here, because the libraries or of the academic institution or the research institution, they are also part and parcel of this scholarly communication process. So they constantly thinking about that how far or how much they can access those scholarly information sources. As I have already mentioned, that shrinking budget constraint is also there. So acting as agent for their faculty, the libraries simply have little choice regarding what journals they can acquire. Since the publisher have been able to differentiate their product lines both on the basis of academic specialization and reputation. Academic libraries cannot substitute one journal for another and meet the specialized needs of faculty, scholars, and other patrons. So therefore, the bargaining power of the publisher is illustrated by the practice of bundling packages of journals for sale to the library, thereby constraining the library of libraries to choose which journals they wish to acquire. Because whenever they are offering the bundling package, so there is no option for the library that I will take this one, I will not take this one. They have to acquire all those bundling packages. So among those packages, it's not that all the journals, all the sources will be perfect for them, but they have to purchase this bundling. There is no option. So again, you can see here that publisher is taking the bigger hand over the libraries. So all these factors in between the supply and demand, creating a havoc role from the point of publisher, and this can be said an inelastic condition. Why it is inelastic? Because inelastic demand explains how publisher can persistently increase the price of the journals with little resistance on the part of either faculty or the academic library. It would seem that the publisher's role as an intermediary controlling the flow of knowledge between producer and consumer gives them the power to charge what the market will bear. Publishers are able to expropriate the value added by authors, while university libraries are unable to create bargaining power as buyers for the journals. The result of the current industry structure is increasing prices and high margins for the large for-profit journal publishers. So again, you can see that publisher is still taking the bigger role in terms of the bargaining between the publisher or the scholar or basically the libraries. So problem is there, but again and again, we have to think about some kind of solution, because survival of the fittest. As a library professionals, we have to think how our libraries can sustain or can still be regarded as the main partner in the academic community. But always the threat is there, that the shrinking budget. So keeping in mind all those things, some strategic solutions can be discussed here. One very good option is the library consortia. So library consortia have a long history in linking institutions for the purpose of sharing information and resources and for engaging in various collaborative activities. However, their influence on assuaging journal price escalation has been minimal. Consortia part, some packages are there, different packages as they are under the publisher's terms and conditions. We can choose for that. But again, bargaining part, that certain price we have to reduce for our library. This option is not so much flexible, but still consortia part is good in terms of the shrinking budget. So one reason we can cite for that, that is the library consortia diminishes their bargaining power. Most consortia have been formed on the basis of diverse criteria, such as geography proximity, or organizational characteristics like community college, library consortium, etc., etc. So when consortia are based on such varied criteria, it is difficult to establish a common base to bargain with the large publishers. So it would have been better, suppose the IIT, IIM, so their domain area is same. If they build a consortia, already a consortia also there, so it will be better. But suppose in Kolkata, in North Kolkata, all those college libraries build a consortia. Suppose our college is based in arts, another college is based on science, another college based in commerce. So purpose or domain area is different. So collaboration between all those different domain area. So at that time, bargaining with the publishers will be difficult, but domain area same, and 3 or 4 or 5 organizations build a consortia. So that time their bargaining power will be a little bit increased. So in this way we can approach. So another option is that umbrella consortia. So umbrella consortia is that, so that for the bigger organizations from different regions based on a specific purpose, as I have already mentioned, that on a same domain, they can also create some collaboration for the sake of consortia. So this will also be helpful in terms of bargaining with the publishers to get some benefit in terms of price of the scholarly information. So consortia is a good approach, and we have already part of many consortia, many organizations. So another part is that regarding the business model, that current business model of academic publishing based on their role as gatekeepers of knowledge flow are difficult to overcome even for large buying consortia. Why? Because entry into the traditional publishing industry by potential competitors is also difficult due to cost advantages, due to the economies of scale, the learning curve factor, and the established market share. High product differentiation due to the prestige of journals and editorial boards and the publisher's gatekeeper role give traditional publishing houses a great deal of bargaining power over academic libraries and faculty members who provide scholarly articles. So this is a very much fact that we are thinking about bargaining with the publishers, but some or certain publishers are there, as I have already mentioned, suppose Elsevier, Taylor and Francis, Sage. So they are very prestigious publishers and they have a very good impact factor in the academic community. So then don't bother about the reducing some price, etc., because they have created such a good hold over the scholarly communication process that it's very difficult for the academic community or the libraries to get some benefit bargaining with them, because again and again I'm saying they have created such a strong hold in the scholarly communication process that getting some benefit from them, it's not so easy. But we should try through consortia, through other approaches, as I am coming in the later portions of my presentation. So the potential exists, however, to radically transform the academic publishing industry through the adoption of new electronic publishing technologies using the internet as a medium of transmission. An electronic-based publishing strategy enacted by academic consortia could overcome many of the advantages of the large publishers and radically change the business model of academic publishing. So there are several options of academic publishing strategy. One potential initiative is for the academic libraries acting through buying collectives to demand electronic only journals. Such an initiative would force publishers to unbundle electronic and paper journals. So this should reduce the overall price of journal subscriptions, since the academic consortia would not pay the publishing costs for paper journals. So the fixed costs for establishing a web-based publishing capability are less than those for printing paper journals. And the variable cost of an electronic publication is virtually zero once the original article has been posted on the web. So just as the aspects help to decouple traditional supply chains in global market, a move to electronic web-based journal publishing and distribution would loosen the ties that bind academic libraries to the for-profit publishers. So in order for this strategy to be successful, however, academic libraries must be well on their way towards establishing the electronic library of the future. Without significant electronic and online capabilities, this strategy will not work. So I'm thinking about shifting to the electronic based journals or online journals, so that the grip over the bundling aspect by the publisher between the paper and electronic journals can only be done. Again, our infrastructure should have to be developed to manage or to hold all those electronic information sources in our information center. So next part is that obviously the focus should be on the open access part. Basically, the open access movement provides peer-reviewed journals whose content is made freely available on the internet upon publication for use by anyone, anywhere, for any purpose, as long as the authors are properly acknowledged. So we are all aware about the definition aspects of the open access. So I'm not going into details about all those. I just try to focus how open access can help the scholarly communication process. So open access journals are supported by a variety of organizations to include academic institutions, scholarly societies, and government agencies. Cost of the electronic journals are paid in a variety of ways, ranging from author-based models to subsidies from sponsoring institutions. So sponsoring institutions are very vital also in the process of scholarly communication. Now, the consequences of all those things regarding the open access is very important. Just as the emergence of the wikis and blogs greatly expanded opportunities for social and political commentary, the production and distribution of scientific knowledge could be greatly enhanced by the emergence of online open access journals. So not only this type of publication or the scholarly article will be facilitated, but opportunities for serving on editorial boards would also be greatly expanded. The broader opportunities for publishing an editorial review offered by open access journals could contribute to the end of the Babylonian priesthoods that characterize the editorial review boards of too many of the most prestigious academic journals and lead to a flowering of innovation and knowledge creation among the academic researchers. So we are already aware about all those advantages of the open access scholarly communication process. So these are the phenomena nowadays, we can say. So this type of proliferation of the open access scholarly communication sources we are dealing with, and we can have to access that. Some kind of innovations may be there. I will try to focus on those innovations and how it can be avoided in the later part. Now I'm telling that here that the creation of open access electronic journals is a form of entry into the academic publishing industry. By multiplying the number of journals available not under the control for for-profit publishers. Open access publishing would increase competition within the industry, as well as increase the bargaining power of academic libraries and faculty authors. This is very important. So we can have some power to bargain with the publishers. As the use of e-journals becomes more accepted, traditional publishers would most likely be forced to change their role. Because if there is no competition, if only the business is monopoly, so obviously the publishers, that for profit-making publishers will get the bigger hand over all these things. But whenever this kind of competition, which is arising from the open access scholarly communication processes, so they will think in a different way, and they will give some flexible options, obviously. So in these conditions, there is 4 parts are there. Academic libraries must be prepared to make the leap to primarily online sources for much of their current serial collections. Second, faculty must accept the new online journals as valid sources for new knowledge. This is also important. So that faculty have to accept that these and the online journals are also authentic. How they can judge the authentic, I will discuss later on. And the third, sorry. And the third option, that is the new electronic journals must implement a credible review process and form high quality editorial review boards, like the traditional print-based journals by all those prestigious publishers. And the last one, that is colleges and universities must accept the new electronic journals as valid in their promotion and tenure process. So whenever in the previous slide, as I have mentioned, all those 4 criteria will go hand by hand. So authentic environment, or a trustful environment regarding the authenticity, availability, and the credibility of open access sources will be created. And obviously, the researcher, academicians, as well as the libraries will be benefited from the point of view of easy accessibility of scholarly information, as well as whenever they are also trying to get the subscription-based information sources from the so-called profit-making publishers, also give them some kind of power or opportunity to bargain with them. So now I'm fully focusing on the open access to scholarship. So open access literature is digital, online, free of charge, and free of most copyright and licensing restrictions. More open access stands in contrast to the existing closed system for communicating scientific and scholarly research. And even though scholarly research is largely produced as a result of public funding, the results are often hidden behind technical, legal, and financial barriers or paywalls. So open access publishing is an alternative model, one that takes full advantage of digital technologies, the web, and open licensing to provide free access to scholarship. So open access initiatives provides us the availability on the public internet, permitting any users to read, download, copy, distribute, print, search, or link to the full text of articles, crawl them for indexing, pass them as data to software, or use them for any other lawful purpose. Obviously, that should be lawful, without financial, legal, or technical barriers other than those inseparable from gaining access to the internet itself. The only constraint on reproduction and distribution, and the only role for copyright in this domain, should be to give author control over the integrity of their work and the right to be properly acknowledged and cited. So far, the discussion before this slide, the control basically in the hand of so-called profit-making publishers. But whenever we are trying to shift towards the open access scholarship, slowly or gradually, the control is coming in the hand of research scholars or the authors. So one important thing, that is the paradigm shift, is happening here, that the control of the scholarly communication from publishers to the hand of the creator of those research work or originator of those primary research work. So this is a very good point of view. It should be noted here. The important aspects of the way model, that authors keep their copyright, zero embargo period, share the research data with the article, and a Creative Commons license to the research article that enables text and data mining. This is also important, but everything is freely downloadable, easily accessible. But one important thing should also be integrated here, that is the Creative Commons license. So yeah, here I have tried to present a graphical presentations through which we can have a quick understanding about the open access publishing. That is from the left side upper line, that the government sometimes provide requests for proposals. Government sometimes offer that this kind of research work may be done, and who are interested, they can associate with this kind of research work along with other grants, etc. Provision should be there. So following those requests for proposal, research can be done. So scientific research and other kinds of research work may be started from this point of view. And after that, research work articles should be submitted to the peer-reviewed journals based on the open access policy. Then the easy acceptance. Easy, as I have said, because on the point of view, the accessibility, but easy doesn't mean that whatever I have created, I shall pass to that any open access journal and it will be easily published. It's not that. The same peer reviewing processes, then same evaluation processes should be there to judge its level of primacy or the authenticity of the research work. So it's not that whatever I have created, it will be easily published in the open access journals. So then the next part is article published in traditional journals under an embargo. It can also be published in the print-based journals, who can also provide you that zero embargo period and other facilities which are providing or which we may get through open access journal publication. That is the availability of the full text through the online mode, etc., etc. Then all these things, public or the interested persons or the researcher, academician can easily download, access, etc., etc. Then again, whenever they are downloading, accessing, obviously that Creative Commons license should be integrated so that any kind of malfunctioning or commercialization of the easily available material should not be done. It should have some restrictions. Then the accelerated scientific scholarly communication growth, because whenever we are getting our journal articles or scholarly information published, we are getting that maximum viewpoint, citation impact factor, H-index impact factor, all these personal benefit also begin. And as a whole or overall, the knowledge domain will be enriched. So this process of open access publication basically following the request for a proposal from the government point of view, where the grant or incentives for the research works are very much associated. So in this regard, in the open access route, request for proposals contain policy language requiring research to be published in open access format. Because whenever government is providing the request for the proposal, basically through open access journal communication process or open access to scholarly communication process, there some policies should be integrated. How? Because this kind of policy will also authenticate the publication or the availability of the research information through open access mode will be validated. Next, researcher conducts scientific research and prepare academic manuscripts. When submitting research articles to journals, researcher must consider the open access policy requirements of their grant funding. This means that researcher retain their copyright instead of yielding them to for-profit publishers. A researcher must search out a gold open access journals. Gold open access, all of you are aware that whenever just after the publication, whenever the full text article will be available freely over the net or internet. And green open access basically associated with the archiving policies, which gives the author the permissions for archiving their full text articles in any institution repositories. But that time, obviously, the copyright basically taken by the publisher. But in case of gold open access part, the copyright holder is the author. Anyway, we are all aware about all these things, I think. Now the focus, as I have mentioned, that how the open access scholarly communication information sources are helping in the field of scholarly communication. So in some cases, researcher retains some or all rights to their research articles, permitting them to publish under open licenses and ensuring that they may deposit their articles in a university or institutional repository for long-term access and preservation. As I have already said, that is basically happened regarding the model of green open access route, archiving part. By publishing under open licenses, subsequent users are granted the legal permission to access and reuse the research. This type of open access system is better aligned with the original purpose of conducting science and sharing results openly through the scholarly publication process. So ultimately, the open access approach is more efficient, equitable, affordable, and collaborative. Dear madam, am I audible? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, you are audible. You're audible, Dr. Ashish. Please go ahead.
Okay, okay. Then the enforcing open access policies. Because the point of open access policy is to ensure that publicly funded research can be read by everyone and is ideally openly licensed with a zero embargo period. This is very important because government is funding or any organization or institution is funding for such and such research work. So what should be the ultimate aim? That it should be available to the mass. Basically, whenever government is funding any organization, their ultimate motto is that this type of research work or the result of the research work should be available to its citizen. So if the license or the creation of the research work is not open to all because of the different barriers regarding the publication, etc., etc. So it should not be, I think, helpful for the government money for the proper utilization. So open to all is a very important. So when it comes to enforcing open access policies, multiple people play important roles. The funder and its program officers need to understand the open access policy, communicate the importance of it to grantees verbally and writing, and follow up by checking to ensure the public has full access to the research and data under the terms of the open access policy, which may not be possible in case of for profit-making publishers because of their so many terms and conditions are there, because they will first of all see their profit. So whenever the profit part is there, they will not allow to make all these things easily available over the internet, etc., etc. Some kind of barrier or closed access system they will obviously utilize. But in case of open access to scholarly communication or open access to scholarship, you know, it's a better options even from for the government or organizations, because they are hard-earned money, you know, getting proper utilization. So the university and college administration should provide support for this. They can hire a full-time open access policymaker or open access expert librarian to faculty publishing in open access journals or otherwise sharing their research openly. So institutions can also review and modify promotion and tenure policies to ensure faculty engaged in open access publishings are rewarded during promotion and tenure review. So this kind of policy, if the organizations they can implement, so it will also encourage or motivate their academicians, their faculties, researchers to think more about their open access publications model, avoiding their some kind of innovations. So mandates and fundings obviously is a very important part. So institutions, funders, societies, and organizations all over the world have adopted open access mandates, encouraging or even obligating their affiliated authors to make their research and data freely available. Some open access mandate focus on either the green or the gold model, as I have already discussed what is green or gold. Others give their authors the option to choose between the two routes. So Roar Map is a very good website. I have found that these websites can guide us that what kind of for what kind of research work, what kind of route can be followed, green or gold. So this website, if it is followed properly, all those options available here, like the data visualization, about some kind of guiding policies are also there. So the researchers, scholars, or academicians will get a very good guideline from these roadmap websites regarding that which route they can choose for the open access publications. So the registry of open access repositories mandatory archiving policies, as I have already shown, the website lists the open access mandates and policies of funders and research institutes in a searchable database. So this website not only provides the options of which one would be better for particular research, or green or gold, but this website also provides the funding agencies, their policies, conditions, etc. Because fund is very important for research work. All those research work cannot be self-funded or self-dependent research work. Big projects work, if they get some kind of help regarding the funding, it will be very much helpful to have a very good result. So roadmap is a very good option for guiding regarding all those aspects. So to support the benefits of open access, a large number of funders and institutions have made open access part of their general funding, or have created central funds dedicated to covering article processing charges for their researchers, faculty, or members. There are now more than 100 funds available to authors, and the number obviously continues to grow. There are also membership programs that institutions can join to financially support their affiliated researchers. Now, as a quick viewpoint, I'm just comparing the open access and subscription-based journals from the discussion so far I have made. That are there any difference between open access and subscription publications? The short answer is no. Why? Because apart from the business model, open access journals are subject to the same peer review, production, and publishing standards that apply for journals published under the subscription-based model. So there is no question about the quality and reliability of the work. Open access journals are tracked for impact factors just as subscription-based journals, and are deposited into bibliographic databases and any full text repositories without any embargo period. So authors can also deposit the final versions of their OA articles in any institutional repository immediately upon publications. So open access journals can also be members of Committee on Publication Ethics and other standards and affiliation, just like subscription titles. It's not that only the subscription-based journals or the print-based journals can be member of that COPE. This is a Committee on Publication Ethics. It provides you that membership. Whenever we are getting the membership from COPE, it gives you the viewpoint that you are an authentic person. Because whenever you are applying for the membership, certain conditions you have to fulfill. Because whenever you are fulfilling those all conditions, obviously you are an authentic source of information provider. That may be journal publishers or any publishers. You have to fulfill all those conditions. So then only you can be member of the COPE. So at the same time, whenever any open access journals, if they want to be member of this COPE, they again have to follow the same procedure as followed by the other publishers, where we are much more interested to get our research work published, as I have mentioned in case of Elsevier, Taylor, Springer, Sage, etc. Whatever they are following to be member of the COPE. The new journals, suppose any open access journals, if they want to be authentic, they should be member of this COPE. And it's not easy to be member of this organization fulfilling all those conditions. So my point of view here is that whenever any open access journals is a member of this COPE, they have followed all the norms, regulations, policies, conditions, etc. Then they can be a member of the COPE. That is the creating a culture. The main motto of the COPE is to creating a culture of publication integrity together. That is the research ethics and the integrity of the scholarly communication is very much associated, which is offered by the cope. So this is a very good platform. So now the avoiding plagiarism, avoiding the predatory journals, because this is also a very, I mean, what should I say, topic or the term, that predatory journals in the field of academic community. And we cannot accept that, but we cannot at the same time avoid that. Why? Because in recent years, there has been an increase in the number of predatory journals. We cannot avoid that, because whenever demand is there, and our some of our friends, our colleagues and professionals are much more interested to somehow get their articles published somehow without bothering about the primary level of information. Somehow they have to publish because of their promotion, etc., there. So that time the predatory journals offer them the best solution somehow to get their article published. So these are the publications that do not uphold the standards of peer review that are usually expected of reputable journals. Before authors submit to a journal, it is recommended that authors take some time to access if it can be trusted. So again, think, check, and submit is a very good option or website to check any journal, whether it is authenticated, whether it is predatory or not. So this is, there are so many websites are there. I have just taken one example, which I preferably very much fond of, better to say. There is a think, check, and submit. So after logging in this website, you can put any journal's name and they will provide you that their details about all those things. But some new journal, suppose published 1 year or just 6 months ago, so that journals may not be even tracked by those think, check, and submit. So obviously this is a new journal. Some time will take. If they have not started the indexing part, so obviously this will not come under their umbrella. So this one lacuna is there, so we have to take into consideration. And again, another few things, whenever the authors or the scholars submitting any journal article in terms of open access journals or any newly built journals, which are good or not, they can judge or they have to judge, rather to say, whenever doing all these things, they should keep in their mind that he or she recognize the journal. Have you come across the title in your reading of the subject? Do your colleagues know the title and have submitted there? He or she can easily see who published the title and can contact them via email and telephone. Do they clearly state where their office are based? The journal is indexed in databases that you regularly use to find papers. The journal is a member of a standard or affiliations. He or she recognizes members of the editorial board or recently published authors. They make the peer review policy of the journal clear, whether the peer reviewing policy is clearly mentioned in the journal website or in the journal itself. Any charges or costs are clearly displayed on the journal site, because most of the cases it may happen that nowadays different associations, they are basically non-profit organizations. So it is not possible for them to overcome all those burdens of publishing journals, if it is a quarterly journals or bi-monthly journals. So that time it may happen that some minimal APC may be charged from the authors to overcome the burden of that publications. So all these things have to think or consider from the point of view of the necessity or the purposes of all those things. Why I mentioned that? Because it's not that such a good organization, they are publishing a journals and they are charging few minimum APC charges. That means that they are not good. They are the predatory journals. It's not. You have to think how they can overcome all those publication charges, because basically it's a non-profit making organization, team members are there is no source of income. So at that time APC may be charged by those organizations to overcome their the cost of the publication. So that doesn't mean that this is a predatory journal. You should obviously focus on the content and other reviewing policy, editorial policy, who are publishing their articles in the journals, who are in the advisory board, etc., etc. All these things are, I think, much more important. But if, again, I should say, heavily APC charges are wanted from the authors, that is beyond the scope of their publication charges. I mean, the total cost for getting the published of all those journals, if you calculate that APC is getting much more than that. So that time you can think, that time you can ask the questions. So not all predatory titles are open access, and not all open access titles are predatory. This is very important, this line. Not all predatory titles are open access, and not all open access titles are predatory. So you can easily avoid publishing in any untrustworthy title by taking a few minutes to investigate the journal before submitting. As I have mentioned, all these things, there are some sites are there, roar map, think, check, and submit, and some other aspect, as I mentioned, who are the editorial board, whatever the editorial policy or the publication policy, etc., etc. You should go through before submitting your article for a particular journal article, other than so-called publishers like Elsevier, Nature, Springer, etc., etc. So now, I have discussed so many things regarding the models, regarding the shifting the control from the publisher to the scholars, and then the funding agencies. Copyright issues are there, though I have mentioned very briefly about the copyright issues. Now I'm focusing on the another thing which is very much associated with the scholarly communication process. That is the fair use. We are already aware about these terms, that copyright law provides for the principle commonly called fair use, that the reproduction of copyright works for certain limited educational purposes does not constitute copyright infringement. The Copyright Act establishes a 4-factor test, the fair use test, to use to determine whether a use of copyrighted work is fair use that does not require the permission of the copyright owner. The fair use test is highly fact-specific, and much can turn on seemingly insignificant variations on the proposed use. What is the 4 factors? That is the purpose. For which purpose I am using the primary research articles? Is that for my personal research work or for any commercial purpose? That thing is very much important. Then the nature of the copyrighted work. That how much amount I am taking from the scholarly article, and for which purpose I am using, already I have mentioned. So this kind of nature and amount is also very important. Then the effect of the use upon the potential market for or value of the copyrighted work. When am I using certain part of the research article, is it hampering the main aspects of the copyright holders, those who are the copyright holders of those articles? If I use certain portions for not for the commercial purpose, still if it hampers their main interest, so I can think it may happen that I can take permission from them. It's not that for the name of fair use I use what amount of portions on in what form or what purpose. It's not that. Fair use is a let us say some kind of ambiguation and contribution is still there, but avoiding all kinds of ambiguations and controversy. If I think that only certain portions I can use for my own research work, not for commercial purpose, and if it is the read-only version, I should accept that read-only version. I should not try to breaking all this programming part, etc., etc., or the encrypted portions, breaking encrypted version with so many available program, then downloading the full text, and I am making it available to others who can misuse that. So I should not go for all those things. And another factor is also important here. Suppose for better example, for preparation of this presentation, I have taken some images from the web. So this can be said it is a fair use because I'm not using for any commercial purpose. I am just used for a presentation or academic purposes. But again, suppose there are in a bundle, there are about the scholar communication, there are 25 images are there. And I have blindly copied all or copy and pasted all those 25 images for my presentation. And I'm claiming that, no, I am not using for that. This is commercial purpose. This is very academic purpose. No, it cannot be done. All those 25 images I cannot copy blindly. 2 or 3, 1 or 2 maximum can be taken, and that should be within the limit of fair use. So this is the part of fair use. We can think about all those things very positive mindset and for the betterment of our academic development. Now the extension of another term, that is the public domain information. This is also part of the scholarly communication process. Why? Because the term public domain refers to creative materials that are not protected by intellectual property laws such as copyright, trademark, or patent laws. The public owns these works, not an individual author or artist. Anyone can use a public domain work without obtaining permission, but no one can even ever own it. I can take permission for use it, but I cannot claim that I am the owner of that. Okay, so there are 4 common ways that works arrive in the public domain. That is, the copyright has expired. Second condition, the copyright owner failed to follow copyright renewal rules. The copyright owner deliberately places it in the public domain, known as dedication, or copyright law does not protect this type of work. So when these 4 conditions will be implemented and form those aspects, any kind of information which have some academic essence should be there, and that can be regarded as the public domain information. Again, I am telling that public domain information I can use in my own way, but I cannot never claim it that I am the owner of that public domain information. Now, whatever the things we have discussed about the scholarly communication process and the evolution of the scholarly communication informations, that the question obviously comes that whatever the thing that is scholarly information we are generating constantly to different modes, different aspects, will it be evaporated after some days, or will it be available for the next generation, for the posterity? Because in research work, all of us are very much aware that whenever we are going to start a research work, before that we have to find out the research gap. And for finding out all those research gaps, we have to study, or you have to exhaustively study whatever the researchers have already done and whatever the gaps are there, still there. If any gap is there, the researcher will focus on that to fill up those gaps and to develop our knowledge domain. But all these past studies or the scholarly information are not available properly to the researcher. How is it possible to properly find out the research gap? So first and foremost thing, again, we have to think that not only developing the scholarly communication or creating the control or snatching the control from the hand of so-called publishers, we should have the control. We means the LIS professionals or the researcher, the academicians, library professionals over the scholarly communication process. But again, gaining the control, it's not the end. We have to think about the preservation of the scholarly information for the next generation or posterity, so that they can access all those past studies and it gives them the proper platform or helps them to find out the research gap. So preservation, here I have provided a graphical presentation that whenever you are talking about the preservation, a term comes in our mind automatically, that is the digital preservation. Okay, most of the things we are thinking about the digital preservation, but along with the digital preservation, other sort of traditional preservation we cannot fully avoid. We should create a amalgamation or better amalgamation of this traditional preservation along with the digital preservation. Obviously, focus will be much more on digital preservation because of its certain advantages are there. So here I have provided some kind of alien part, then penumbral part, then the core part, that is the data curation, because data curation is also very important at the time of preservation. So what the main data should be preserved. It may happen that I have provided a lot of scholarly information, but some peripheral aspects may not be so much important. So at that time, whatever the gist or core information can again be taken. But it's not always the general norms are not there, obviously. But we can think, because of that, space, time is very vital. So the gist or the core information should always be preserved properly. So that time data curation part is or data curation part will come here. So now you can see here that create or receive, apprise, select, ingest. So outer part is the alien part, that is the primary part. Then from the primary part we are gradually going to the core area, that is curate, then preserve. Then in the core area, that is the umbral part, we are creating a database. If it is a digital database, you can say. So through this, we can avail, access in future all those past studies. So while the switch from print to digital publishing has been embraced by younger researchers and students, older faculty are a little more nervous about the impact of this transition. So this is somewhat related to the loss of print copies to hold in their hands and read, but for many, there is a larger issue. These faculty understand that when many libraries keep a physical copy of a book, the preservation of these materials was more likely due to the existence of multiple copies. If my library is destroyed by a tornado or flood, other libraries would most likely have access to the same scholarly journals. But in case of preserving aspect for the future generation, if digital information is not properly curated and preserved, it can become impossible to access over time. Why? Because digital information is also more subject to changes in the publishing business. If a publisher goes bankrupt, what will happen to their publications? There are currently several initiatives to help preserve digital content and to help preserve access to content. These initiatives require cooperation between libraries and publishers to ensure that content is safely archived and accessible. Then in concluding remarks, I should try to focus whatever I have discussed in an analytical point of view. That is, tasked with preparing into the future, the stakeholders of scholarly communication have to avoid making use of the one technology, that is the crystal ball, because like many other technologies, staring at it blinds rather than enlightens. Of course, technology will be an important part of the future of scholarly communication, but the decisive technological event has been the triggering of the transition to the digital context. And this started decades ago. The present period corresponds to a particular stage in the unfolding of the digital sphere with its cultures, economics, and social dimensions. Some of these stages may perhaps be compared in scope to the invention of the rotary printing press within the print culture, but they remain a part of the unfolding digital culture. Technofiction was thus set aside, and we should proceed to look for continuities and forms of stability in the midst of a rapidly shifting publishing landscape, and to pay attention to what should be avoided. So, point of view is there should be a collaboration between the libraries, publishers, along with the technological innovations, but cautious should be there that only we should not focus on the technology. Our own human power in collaborating between the libraries, publishers should also be there. So in this point of view, according to the fit between the published works and the parameters of the research program as initiated by the funding agencies are also very important. So funding agencies part is also be associated with this kind of collaboration. The leadership taken by the funding agencies will work only if it rallies most, if not all, of the actors of the scholarly communication ecosystem. Given the possibility of changing the criteria used to evaluate research, collaborating with the researcher, the universities and the research center should provide fairly straightforward. So working with various strands of the general public should include imagining and creating communication channels, allowing for a real voice to influence research priorities and orientations. With publishers, it is clear that cooperation is also needed, although there are likely to be further challenges to existing business models. Underpinning these collaboration, it is to be hoped that all actors will view the perspective of moving into truly innovative areas as very much of the line with the most fundamental purpose of scholarly communication. So in my concluding remarks, I have tried to focus that a proper collaboration between the publisher, universities, libraries, researcher, along with the funding agency should be there, and technology will play a better role. But again, I'm telling that, giving a one caution that technology should not be the crystal ball, because some kind of human resources or human power dealing with the publisher, community, academic communities, funding agencies should be there. So all kind of amalgamation between the all stakeholders along with the human resources and technologies will create a collaborative platform so that the monopoly control over the scholarly communication by the so-called publishers will be reduced, and somehow the control will be accessed by the academic community, researchers or scholars, obviously the libraries. In this way, the scholarly communication in the coming future will place us in a better position. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Dr. Biswas. You have explained very well the various models of scholarly communication and various informative aspect of scholarly commission, like open access initiatives, then open access journals. So all these will be helpful for all library professionals to purchase their online databases, because while purchasing the online databases or online information, is it necessary that it should be evaluated from various point of view, whether the information which is included in that journal bundle, etc., whether it is scholarly or authentic. You have also explained the predatory concept of journals that is very known to the people, and it is very useful for all the people. Now we will conduct the question and answer for your session. Then I will put the concluding remark for both the session, morning session and your session also. Meenal.
Yes. Thank you
so
so
any
much.
Question for that?
Yeah, there are. First of all, thank you so much, Dr. Ashish, for your elaboratively considering the issues related to scholarly communication. You have included the copyright issues as well as the predatory aspects and the related concepts to the scholarly communication. I need to contribute from my end before going towards the QA. One incidence regarding the predatory issues which I faced. Actually, one of the journal publishers, without taking my permission or without any intimation, giving prior intimation to me, he quoted my name as an editor of the journal on the website. And I came to know all of a sudden, and I started finding out what could be the solution for that. Because many times it happens with the predatory journals that without taking the permission of the scholarly people, publishers are trying to fetch their work or their personal their contribution as far as the particular subject is concerned. Then I try to find it out from the various sources. What is the current scenario? What is exactly going on? So in that relation, I could find so many cases related to other domains also, where the same cases were happening of quoting such names. And only one solution I did, it was I just mentioned on my personal website that in any way I'm not connected with this journal as an editor. So please do not share your articles by referring my name. So that was the only solution I could find. So what is your opinion in this regard? Because this is a very serious matter of predatory journals, what I observe. And the criteria you explain in your predatory journal slide, these are very well self-explanatory. And it is very essential for the research scholars working in other domains. I mean, we library professionals are even capable enough to identify the predatory issues related to journals, but not all the LIS professionals. And there is a need for us to know what are the various elements in this regard. So will you please light your light the focus on this issue?
Yes, as I'm also already associated with the journal publication in the editorial board, and I'm doing work for one journal that is College Libraries. That is also UGC listed journals. For the problem you mentioned, that it may happen that suppose in our journals advisory board, I have mentioned some big person's name, but I have not taken the permission just to create some kind of visual impact or the prestige impact factors. I have mentioned that person's name, but I haven't taken the permission. So one thing can be done, that person's ORCID ID should be put whenever I am mentioning his or her name. And that person, again, whenever the ORCID ID part, he or she should also mention that I am the part of that editorial board of such journals. So whenever I will click on that ORCID ID, I will obviously say that this person have already mentioned that he or she is associated with that journal. So this will be an authentic solution of this problem.
Right. So following the practices ethically is the only solution. That is very well said by you. And
can we take the legal action on that journal?
That is another issue. That's the extreme part.
Actually, it should be there, but it's
how
very
others
difficult.
can judge whether that person is associated or not. That ORCID ID should click, and that ORCID ID, if it is telling that okay, that person is associated with, but because suppose Patil sir, I have included him in our editorial board. So Patil sir ORCID ID should be updated that myself is the part of the editorial board of College Libraries. So others, whenever clicking on his or his ORCID ID, so they will obviously say, okay, this is done, because what the updatation is done by the Patil sir, it cannot be done by others. So it is an authentic issue.
No, but if without permission, the person's name is included and he do
this
not
is very
know,
unfair.
So that time, can we take the legal action on that?
Obviously, you can take the legal action. The option is there.
Right. Few candidates, I think Mrs. Navle Manju, she is interested in knowing the reputed UGC care listed journals or renowned management journals which are useful for their faculty members to publish their papers, because many times it happens that being an information professional, you must be aware with such things. Many tools are available actually to find out that. Will you please elaborate on this?
As I've already mentioned, for authenticating or evaluating the journals. If you don't go through all those detailed procedure, if you just want our India's UGC care listed journal, so create an account in UGC care list and you can enter into it and you can put your subject, then they will provide you the subject oriented UGC care listed journals are there. So whatever the things are included in UGC care list, though I know some controversies are still there, but avoiding all those controversies as the UGC is a very apex body under the academic system of the India. So you have to believe that whatever they have included, that is authentic. So you can go for that. Okay, yeah. You have to click on UGC care list and perhaps there you have to open an account. So easily you can put your subject, is it a mathematics, chemistry, social science, etc., etc. Whatever the journals on the particular domain, it will give you the list.
I think, and in this regard, basically, as far as your scholarly communication topic is concerned, thinking independently and improving your writing skills, this is the only ethical way to write more ethically and more soundly, I should say. I mean, you have given proper justice to the topic, and being a editor of the UGC care listed journals, you are very well aware with the related areas and the aspects, how to write and what are the issues. And actually participants also appreciated your session a lot. And we thank you once again for accepting our invitation and giving proper justice to this topic. Now I'll hand over to Dr. Patil sir, chairman of the today's session, to please give his concludatory remarks. Tomorrow, after that, I'll make some announcements. Over to you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Minal. I am giving here for the concluding remark for both the sessions. As the chairman, I had to give it this concluding remark. So first session delivered by Dr. Shantanu Ganguly, librarian, chief librarian, AIMS, New Delhi, on the topic that is the library service quality. So on this session, he has explained very well about the pre-COVID area services and the post-COVID area services. That time, quality is never accident. He has mentioned the quotation that is quality is never accident, but it is an intellectual effort. It was the quotation by Ruskin. So very, I appreciate that quotation. And while discussing all those quality aspects, he has also mentioned about the Dr. Ranganathan's 5 laws, all the 5 laws, first law, second law, third law, etc. So very elaborately he has mentioned the Ranganathan's view on quality aspect on related to all these 5 laws. He has also mentioned in his slide that library service scorecard services. Scorecard. Library has to prepare his own scorecard with maintaining the service quality, and these services, service qualities are effectively measurable. Okay, and services domain measure. Whatever services libraries are providing, it should be measured periodically. Why, sir? He has also mentioned in his presentation why library services are to be quality-wise in the library. So that he has very well explained, and everybody appreciated his presentation. He has also explained the various models of quality. So in that quality model, he has mentioned a lot of quality models. And these quality models explained one by one on very much details he has mentioned in that also. So with this, that presentation was very excellent and informative to all the users. Now regarding the session, Dr. Ashish Biswas, he has also very much explained the various aspects of scholarly commission, which is in terms of umbrella communication. So he has explained all these innovations in scholarly communication, that is assessment, discovery, outreach, and publication in details. Then he has also explained the life cycle of scholarly communication, under which the data collection, authors, then peer-reviewed articles, right in management, publication models, and discovery. So all this will be very much useful for the library professional who are already working in the library. So scholarly communication publishing models, he has elaborately explained the open access model, various models in open access system. Nowadays, open access journals are accessing by research scholars. But whether the information which is included in the open access and their various research aspects in open access journals, whether these journals are authentic, that is the question and the cause of research. So he has also explained the open access movement, various business models of scholarly communication, business models of journals, etc. So I appreciate his efforts in scholarly communication, and your speech and lecture is also very much appreciated by our participants, and it is useful for the library professional in their practical experiences. So with this concluding remark, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, Dr. Meenal, to be the chairman of this both the sessions. And again, thank you very much for this.
Okay. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. S.K. Patil, sir, for chairing the session for us and giving proper justice through your apt concludatory remarks for both the sessions, and sharing, practically various issues which are faced as far as the scholarly communication is concerned. So in this way, we have started the quality journey today for the second day. We have gone through the quality in services of library in the first session. In second session, we have seen how can we relate quality to the scholarly communication, and how can we write so skillfully. What are the related aspects to scholarly communication? We will continue the same thread ahead. Tomorrow, we will be meeting at 10 o'clock morning, and we will see how can we improve the quality of robust digital library system with Dr. Sri Kumar, and pulling the same thread ahead in the second session. So thank you so much for being here and appreciating the session through the chat box. And we need more active response from all the candidates so that it will become more interactive, more live, and more responsive, so that we can brainstorm and we can find out the more solutions to remain more effective through our services. Thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning. For more details, go through the website of the program, which is already shared to you. Thank you so much. Thank you.